Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Oh, hold on. We're doing that again. We're doing that again. 1 second. 1 second. We're doing that again. Hey, that's way better. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Man, what a... I'm not even going to say 24 hours, albeit it does feel like it's been a pretty interesting 24 hours. Probably what a fucking 12-hour window we just had in the markets. Pretty wild. Culminating in Jerome Powell doing what Jerome Powell does best, which is kind of completely wreck the markets in a short period of time with the markets then bouncing back. Now, there is definitely something we need to discuss, something we'll talk about. It doesn't feel right, this market at the minute. And I'll talk a little bit why. I think that, you got Bitcoin down about 1.4%. Obviously, all those chopper bears, are all like, oh, I told you the market was going down. Super crazy bulls. But then you kind of look at Trump coin that's up friggin' 17%, pump coins up 14%, even some of the memes, Bonk, Pepe, Brett, Pengu, all up, 5-6%. So super weird market right now, but we're going to get into what happened at the Federal Reserve. We're going to get into how that can then play into markets, how that affects the markets, etc., etc., etc. All right, so quite a bit to kind of digest, quite a bit to walk and talk through. All I ever ask, smash up the like button if you're brand new to the channel. Also, drop me a click the subscribe button. All right, you know what I mean. And likewise, if you're here on TikTok as well, tap the screen. It does massively help us out. And drop a follow as well if you could. That'd be great. We're at I think we're like 7,500 followers. It'd be nice to get to like 3,500. It'd be nice to get to like 5,000 pretty soon. But again, we just appreciate it as always. So yeah, Powell said uncertainty, another cut for December, and we dump. Yeah, well, there's a couple of things that Powell said. And it was a roller coaster of a speech, by the way. It really was. You had things like potentially we might get again. Obviously not words to this effect, but potentially we're not going to get a December rate cut. Jobs market is fine. They've kind of skirted around the fact that quantitative easing is coming, but it is. They just didn't say that specifically it was quantitative tightening ending, which we've kind of been discussing, haven't we, for a while. The Fed balance sheet we've been discussing, that feels like that's coming to an end. So quite a bit to get into, quite a bit to digest, and quite a bit to walk through. So as always, like we said, we are a little bit earlier today, but I thought it was worthwhile just coming a bit earlier because we do have sort of a bit to get into. And I think what's important, by the way, as well, when we talk about market structure, and we'll talk about a little bit specifically where Bitcoin went to, how that then could look, and I guess what do we do in terms of, strategically playing some of these markets, etc. I think is important. Very laggy. Is it really? Hold on a minute. Let me just make sure. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. I can go, let me do this and just tell me if that goes better. I'm just going to go to I'll go to my actual phone rather than just, rather than anything else. So let me know if that is still weird or not, or if it's any better. Hopefully it comes up a bit better. Going in and out on TikTok and pausing. Okay, let me know if that's better. I've just changed something, so let me know if that's better. Hopefully it is. Hopefully it is. But yeah, so we're going to get into what's happened and much, much more. So, although I have put a jumper on, I feel like I might have to lose this jumper in a minute. In fact, bear with me 1 second because it's like, I'm too warm. Does that sort it out? Seems better one time. All right, cool. Cool. Okay. I know what some of you are thinking. Oh, here we go. Going to see 2-bit 6-pack. Well, you're not, all right? There we are. I didn't realize I was on the big screen as well. Right. Anyway, there we go. Look, let's get a way better screen up on this than we've had previously. There we go. We'll put you there as well. I think that's fine. Okay. Zeros, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Like I said, smash the like button to manual time and all that kind of stuff. Right. You mean cake? Wow, one time. Coming in fresh. Okay. Here is the price of Bitcoin. You can see pretty interesting on the hourly. Couple of key things to think about. The Federal Reserve, if you don't already know, by the way, came in here. This big bit of volatility, this massive wick down. 109,386 is where we sort of went down to. What's going on, Jimbo? Good to see you, buddy. Where we went down to. I think the important bit, by the way, though, is look at this support that we got here. So this, if you remember, this is the breakout line that we're talking about. It's easier to see it on the daily candles. Again, this green line was the break from the W pattern. And look, it's important we hold this green line, which we kind of have at the minute, which means this break is still valid. And therefore, it means we, in theory, should be able to kind of push a little bit higher. We will see where the market closes. I think is going to be an interesting point. And we'll sort of digest the full Federal Reserve breakdown in just a minute. But on the hourly candles, you can see kind of how this played out. This is the important line, this control line from the breakout. Again, exactly what we want to see with a little bit of volume support. Now, I haven't put it in there because it's just a little bit kind of awkward. But yeah, my opinion on useless coin, it's pretty useless. I mean, the meme coin sector is hot right now, weirdly. But yeah, I totally forgot TikTok. You need to go and watch the screen. Okay, so important that we got this line here. And I guess, look, the charts are where the charts are. I think what's different about today, which I'm kind of struggling to a degree, which I think is fair, is you have this kind of push down in Bitcoin, 1.2%. By the way, the move sort of started back up here, which was super weird. We were kind of trending pretty well. And then we'll talk about it later on, but then BlackRock, Binance, everyone else decided they were going to wreck the markets. Fair enough. Do you know what I mean? Pump is up like 20%. Yeah, so is Trump coin. It's absolutely wild. But then we sort of got the capitulation sort of culminating in the Jerome Powell speech here, which we'll touch on in just a second. But this green line for me is the important line. Where do we probably want to get to as a close line? Close line. Maybe we can get to the 112.300. That would close with us above the 200 EMA on the 1 hourly and break back above the 20-day EMA, which is the big yellow line. Now, it's a bit of a move, but we'll see what happens. Interestingly enough, the total two, so this is everything minus Bitcoin and stable coins, actually up 0.5. Look at this, total 3. Remove Bitcoin and Ethereum, and actually this market looks pretty optimistic on the hourly. And in fairness, outside of the wick down for the Fed announcement, that's a pretty bullish uptrend, and you can see that in the rest of the altcoin market. So the question then has to be, why has Bitcoin corrected and yet altcoins seem to have pumped? That's totally illogical to what we've seen. And then you're going to need your tinfoil hat, right? You are going to need your tinfoil hat as we sort of walk through some of this stuff, because is the official rotation of capital starting to come in? We know that there's been a couple of decent earnings. So there was some big earnings coming out from Google or Alphabet, which I think is like the parent company with like over $100 million in revenue. But then we know Meta absolutely shit its arsehole out and missed by about 10 billion, which is kind of wild. So you could see a rotation coming out of a couple of instances and a couple of coins. The others, again, this takes out anything from the top 10, by the way, also looking very bullish, by the way, on this market. So I don't want to spend too much time on the charts because I want to get into the Federal Reserve and I want to get into kind of what was announced. Worth noting, by the way, CME gap. All right. CME gap got filled. Does it matter? Don't know. We'll see. For all those people that say it does, there you go. The CME gap got absolutely munched. And I'd argue we nearly actually filled the CME gap from way back here, by the way, around the 109,000 level, 109,560. But if this ever was a thing, I guess, CME gap well and truly filled. Like a cream donut as an example. I don't know if that's even a thing. But anyway. And then Bitcoin dominance down 6.62, which, supports an altcoin market. Remember, we've had this chart now for a while where you can see Bitcoin pump, Bitcoin dump. So right now, if you are an altcoin holder, which I think many people in this stream are, by the way, this is what you want to see. You want to just see a massive correction on BTC, dumping its arsehole out, and then the rest of the market starting to push back up to the upside. So we'll keep an eye on what's going on BTC. This target, in my opinion, 123, still valid as long as the close. Remember, the close is the important one there above this line. Harlem says, tell me why we're going down. Well, good timing. I'm going to walk through the Federal Reserve and why we then got the dump. First and foremost, though, we did pretty well on bingo. For many of you that were in the live stream last night, this was the Federal Reserve bingo. He had a laptop, not a notebook, so a bit disappointed there. He didn't talk about gold markets, didn't talk stable, stocks overheated. That wasn't true, albeit they well are, and you can see it. Didn't talk China. Did not hint at a cut in December. In fact, it was the complete opposite. Inflation was anchored. He kind of talked a little bit, which we'll discuss in a minute, but it was over. 50 basis points cut was no. 2% inflation, no. J-Power replacement, no. But overall, pretty good. We didn't get a line, unfortunately. We didn't get anything. So, I mean, technically, if we were in the bingo hall right now, we just lost our money. But as bingo cards go, that wasn't a bad guess, actually. That was a pretty solid guess across those. So, let's talk about what came out. The Grey Wizard of Rates, when summoned, all bulls are instantly silenced. Sounds like it, and kind of played out pretty much what we saw today. Jerome Powell managing to do what Jerome Powell does best. Saw his glasses out, cough, dumped the market by $3,000. So pretty good. Okay, let's walk through a little bit of this Federal Reserve statement, and let's pull out some of the key things that I think are worth noting. And more importantly, then, what does that give us as a potential stimulus or not for the market? Now, obviously, we knew 25 basis points were going to be priced in. That was obvious. We touched on this last night. That wasn't anything new. So 50 would have been... Now, what's interesting, hindsight, by the way, 50 would have been a fucking disaster. Because what we got was 25, a secretly dovish Fed, and I'll talk about why that was secretly dovish, by the way, but I was posting the Discord going, he's totally like fucking rugged us here, like totally rugged us. and yeah, like ends up being an absolute shit show. But when you sort of went through underneath that, then it was a little bit more of, actually, this is kind of bullish, and there's elements to this that are probably more positive than we kind of know. So I'm not going to walk through all of it, but we'll talk about what the key parts are. So this was kind of the first line here, look, which kind of talks a little bit about where we got to, and more importantly, kind of where that went to. So in support of its goals, in light of the shift in the balance, the committee decided to lower the target rate of the federal funds rate by 1/4 percentage point, 3 3/4 to 4%, in considering additional adjustments to target range for the federal funds rate. Okay, so that was the priced in bit. That was like the freebie. You know what I mean? We knew we were getting 25 basis points. Now, here's where some of the kind of interesting stuff comes in. The assessment of the appropriate stance of monetary policy, the committee will continue to monitor the implications of incoming information and economic outlook. Now, this is basically him kind of saying, well, we need to look at when the government reopens, what does that look like? We aren't going to get full jobs report. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about where we're going to get this jobs report from and what we need to kind of keep an eye out over the course of the next few, probably the next month, 6 weeks till the next FOMC. So worth thinking about, right? This was when the markets didn't like it, right? So the committee would be prepared to adjust the stance on monetary policy if appropriate risks emerge. So basically, if the labor market goes to complete shit, they will hike rates back up again. I think that's kind of what he's opened the door to say, well, if the markets absolutely go the other way, by the way. Flores, welcome in. What's going on, buddy? Welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget, by the way, tap the screen, hit the follow button if you're on TikTok. Likewise, give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying the content on YouTube as well. Basically, if the jobs market completely falls off a cliff, they could and will adjust policy, right? Oh, I don't know what's happened there. So important to think about that. The committee's assessment will take into account a wide range of information, including readings on labor market conditions, inflation's pressures, and inflation's expectations. Okay, so he didn't tell us they were well anchored. He just said that that's what we would look at. Okay, this is obviously who voted for it. Couple of dissentants or what is the word I'm thinking about? Dissentants. Basically, people that didn't agree with Jerome Powell. You got two. Obviously, we talked about the fact that Stephen Mirren was going to go 50. That's exactly what he did, by the way. Don't forget, we've got to wait probably a couple of weeks till we get the full report. But Stephen Mirren went 50. Now, interestingly enough, you then had the opposite coming in that voted to go the other way, by the way, which again was interesting. Actually said we shouldn't cut. I'm trying to think who it was. Who the hell was it that came in and said no? Was it? It wasn't Waller, was it? Who was it that came in? I don't know. I can't remember now. Someone came in and went the other way. I can't remember. I thought it was maybe it was him. Maybe it was G Musalem. Maybe it was him. I don't know. Anyway, someone went 0 cuts that came in. Okay. So oh sorry, here we are. Look, yeah, sorry. Stephen Mirren went in for 50 and Jeffrey R. Schmidt preferred no change to the target fund rate. Okay, fine. The two kind of cancel each other out. Okay, whatever, right? Incoming, look, what's that? Crypto Noble, thanks for the roses, man. Appreciate it. Hey, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody. Yeah, share us far and wide. Let everybody know that we are here, by the way. Okay, let's get into a little bit more of what actually came out. What the hell is that, Vern? Shake the head. It's got like some sort of weird cheeky boo. I love it. That's like a big, massive witch hat. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about what actually came out then. So the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve voted unanimously. That's fair. It did vote unanimously, 100%. But when we start to break down some of these key things, these are where it's going to be important. So the Standard Overnight Repurchase Agreement, this is a big deal, by the way. This is the first hint at potential quantitative easing without saying it's, you know, we're going to be quantitative easing. So conduct standard overnight repurchase agreement operations with a minimum bid rate of 4%, which is the aggregate operation limit of 500 billion. Basically, we are going to buy back. And we saw that in the Treasury, and we'll see that in terms of yields, etc. And the Treasury yields, just an example, actually went up. So you see, look at the 10-year, look, absolutely skyrocketed on the news that the Federal Reserve is going to start buying some of these back. You see the 20 up as well. Short term's not up as much, 1.8 here on the the 3-month. And there's the 2-year Treasury absolutely skyrocketing at 3%. No surprise that you've got a big wick up on that one as well. So that was kind of an indication that there. Here is the big bit on QE. Rollover and auction the amount of principal payments the Federal Reserve's holding on Treasury securities maturing October, November. That exceeds a cap of $5 billion per month. Redeem Treasury coupon securities up to the monthly cap and Treasury bills to extend the coupon principal payments less than the monthly cap. kind of basically saying that they are going to take whatever excess is, which right now under Powell's kind of okay. You'll probably get a little bit under, let's say I haven't seen the shortlist, by the way, but we expect we're going to get a new Federal Reserve announcement by the end of the year, or chair, by the way. Well, imagine that they are overly dovish. Imagine they are more aligned to Stephen Miller and Donald Trump in terms of cutting significant rates, potentially even trying to get down to sort of 3, 2.5. What you could see then is way more QE, way more printing, way more buying of sort of treasuries and etc., which will spike treasury yields, but for treasury prices or bond prices, yields will come down though, which is important. If yields come down, remember, people are less likely to go into them. They're more likely to take risk assets on. Gold, we know, is a little bit rolling over, not crazy rolling over. And obviously the S&P 500 is built on 7 companies. I'm going to tell you about that in just a minute. People are getting way too overhyped with the S&P 500 that it's like, oh, it's going to the fucking moon. It's not, right? 7 companies are going to the moon. Nvidia, for example, hitting a $5 trillion company is kind of wild. Anyway, reinvest the amount of principal payments for Federal Reserve Holdings agency debt and agency mortgage-backed securities received in October and November that exceeds cap of $35 billion both into Treasury securities, roughly match the maturity composition of Treasuries. Okay, so kind of what I've just talked about, right? Kind of what I talked about. Fine. QE and sort of more bullish QE than we were expecting without actually saying it's going to be QE. Okay, that's important to reference. That was it, right? That was kind of where the summary is. Now, there is obviously a couple of other bits. I did put some notes here that I thought was worthwhile just touching on and sort of walking through a little bit of what that could look like from an economist perspective. By the way, it's not financial advice and I'm not an economist, but I think it's worth sort of touching on what the couple of things are. So obviously the growth is moderating. Job gains are slowing, which he talked about, and we know that. That wasn't a surprise, but where we sort of got to a little bit was this whole chance that they may not cut in December. And by the way, look at this, 68%. We dropped the best part of 30%, give or take 5%, as a potential we hold in December. Now, this will all be dependent on data, which again, that was kind of one of the points we had on there. But this has dropped specifically on the back of what, Jerome Powell said. More importantly, what he said about the jobs market. Now, he also talked about, though, that albeit the jobs market looks to be slowing, hiring isn't people are still hiring. And we can see this, by the way. I actually have a chart for you guys to take a look at, which is somewhere, but I can't remember where I put it. Maybe I put it here. Yeah, here you go, look. So this kind of gives you a bit of a view in terms of where they are seeing some of this growth come out. Okay, so where the jobs market's still being relatively positive. Small companies, anything below 1 to 19 employees, we're seeing massive reduction. Likewise, mid-size, so 50 to 249. This supports, by the way, the S&P 500 and what we just talked about. You can see basically anything that's small or mid-sized companies under 249 employees, or anything up to, well, basically under 500 employees are not hiring. They're trying to keep onto their workforce, because that's the other bit, by the way. And he did reference this as well, did Powell. There isn't actually a spike in jobless claims. These are obviously people claiming off the state as opposed to it being anything different. So, Crypto Noble, thank you for the rose, man. I appreciate it. What's interesting here is this is your large employers. So, you can almost counteract 3 of these small, mid-size parts with the large employers. Now, I know obviously we've got Amazon. We've got lots of people that are kind of reducing their number of employees that are on their on the books. So you can see it here, look, this is the most recent layoffs. UPS 48,000, Amazon up to 30,000, although I believe they're much more corporate jobs as opposed to frontline. Intel, Nestle, Accenture, Ford, yeah, you see the list there, okay? Meta, 600 employees. I mean, that might grow now given the fact that their earnings were so terrible, but this kind of gives you a bit of a view as to where this all sort of plays out to. But what were the underlying bullish narratives that went in? Why does that come there? Oh, sorry. Let's bring the price of Bitcoin up. Probably a bit more interesting while I'm talking that you see the price of Bitcoin here. What were the bullish things to sort of note? So obviously there was a view that tariffs were still a one-time thing, which is good news. What that means is we're not expecting any kind of fallout from tariffs. All of a sudden there's going to be this massive spike in costs, etc. Right? We're not going to see that. That was important. Inflation remains somewhat elevated, but in control was kind of the statement. So progressive, so working towards was kind of one of the statements that he made. And the fact that they downplayed inflation specifically. So if you think Jerome Powell said, we probably estimate that we like true inflation is probably between 2.5% and 3%, which I think is about right. In fairness, they want to get to 2%. There's a debate whether they'll ever get to 2% again. And obviously, we talked about QT being a big thing. End in December. This again is about risk management. And this was again another point where the market sold off. He said we're going to be prepared to manage risk as opposed to it being an optimistic cut, if that makes sense. He also talked about that the momentum could weaken, but overall GDP was good. Like GDP was growing, revised up to 3.8, 1.6 currently. All right, cool. GDP feels relatively good, and they are prioritizing stabilizing the economy or a stable economy rather than preemptive risk. So their view is that tariffs aren't going to really impact the markets. Jobs, albeit weakening, isn't a big deal. And they are prepared to change, but probably not at the minute. Now, this was kind of therefore the underlying reason. You also got policy responsiveness. Now, the quite of the questions, I can't remember who it was put forward by, but one of the questions was, do you believe that your policy is tight enough, given the fact that basically the market's priced in a 25 basis points cut and has done now for a long time? That was important. The other thing the markets didn't like, by the way, was internal dissent, but you kind of have to sort of discard that really, because we know Stephen Mirren's been put in the Federal Reserve to drive a 50 basis points to try and get inflation down. Interesting if we haven't actually had a statement out of Donald Trump yet, but we'll see. We'll see. And that ultimately, the markets, the short term of the market was relief. Now, the market obviously did dump on the back of it, but it's kind of come back up in fairness. So you look at kind of where we're back up now, 111.5. Again, it'd be nice to get back above that 112 mark. Specifically Bitcoin, though. That's the important thing to reference. This wasn't a global or a wide market dump. This was more specific to Bitcoin as opposed to anything else. Okay, so important to think about that, really. So headlines. Policy stance was relatively solid. Inflation strategy, we know now they're bringing it down. Somewhat elevated, but under control. Cumulative tightening or quantitative tightening coming to an end. We also got the balance sheet policy, good news. Consensus health, macro implications are all relatively positive. All right. But the reason why the markets didn't buy it is because actually quantitative easing was never meant to come out, which people then lead it to believe that, well, this might be kind of bad news and that Jerome may have got it wrong, right? But we'll see. We will see. I think at the minute, it's probably okay. I think we'll see what happens in terms of anything tomorrow. We have the China deal. And then we get Tuesday where ADP earnings, we'll sort of see what that comes in as. That's going to give us an indication as to what the expectation is. We'll be looking at a couple of key sectors, by the way, which will be manufacturing, construction. They're definitely going to be what's going to be important. Why? Because they drive manufacturing. The ISM data we've been talking about, that's definitely what we're going to have to wait and see for how that plays out. And you can see there, they're generally trending in the middle. Where's trending down at the minute? Natural resources and mining may change. We'll have to wait and see. All right. But I think overall, secretly or moderately, Jesus Christ, what is wrong with me tonight? Moderately bullish. Okay. I think that's a fair statement. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. I'm curious. Give me your thoughts. Let's start a poll in here. What's your view on the Fed today? Question mark. Let's do bearish, bullish. Give me a view. Likewise, TikTok, you can do the same as well. You can give us a vote. By the way, TikTok, don't forget, I've got a double live stream tonight. So I'm going to be back on with no other than Crypto Burn. Again, getting his reaction, talking about a few bits. I know Tomato P, I'm struggling. Thumbs up, not thumbs up. Smiley face, bullish, sad face, bearish. Let me know what you think of the Federal Reserve's announcement today. Curious thing. Tim is bullish. As a bullish bullfrog, that is very bullish. I like it. To be at least extended its supply from 107 to 85 million. Yeah, I put it in the Discord. You not see that? I actually typed that into the Discord and was putting them there. So yeah. Yeah. Cheese at one point, it was 8K. Now it's 0.013. Yeah, I mean, it's wild. The leash thing as well. So, man, everyone's going bullish on Jerome Powell. Like it. I like your style. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the more I kind of look at it, the more I'm like, meh, okay. Matt says, do you think we climb back? Well, I mean, look, it depends on tomorrow, doesn't it? Let's just call it as it is, by the way. I mean, if we get some sort of insane Trump news with China, like some sort of crazy ass, very favorable towards the US, then yeah, we may absolutely get another solid move tomorrow. We'll have to see. The only weird thing about this market today, which is worth noting, by the way, was the selling off prior to it, which made no freaking sense. This move here made no sense. No sense at all. Do you think the economy is in good shape? It's hard for me to. Do you mean in the US or do you mean the UK? Because Beebs, you UK as well. I feel like you are. Waiting on Trump and government shutdown. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a thing. It feels like that might, come to an end. He did talk about government shutdown there. XRP buy or sell? I mean, 259 down to 0.27. I mean, I aren't selling mine. I'm holding on to it, but yeah. Predictions for before and probably the end of 2025. Who knows? Still waiting for this bull run. Yeah, I know. MB23. Tell us about it. Okay, what do I think of the US economy? By the way, if you haven't seen some of my update videos, so I generally do like a market Bitcoin update video, and then I'll do like an XRP video, and then maybe some sort of project or sponsor work as a video. So definitely check them out. They go live at 11:30 UK time every single morning. Just giving you a bit of a view as to where I think Bitcoin and all the rest of it is. So worth noting. But what would I say about the US economy? It's built on debt, specifically margin debt right now, which is not good. But if you then get reduced rates, then who gives a shit about how much debt you've got? Like, no one cares. Again, this is not saying for an average individual, don't ever leverage more than you can afford to pay back, blah, 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 blah. Don't do any sort of weird stuff. But as a country, if you've got low rates, no one cares. Now, interestingly, and I don't know if I can get this chart, I was looking at this earlier on, but one of the biggest bank defaulters at the minute, I don't know if you guys have seen this, USA bank defaulters are vehicle loans, which is interesting, which is also tied to manufacturing. So there are some of the things we need to think about. But yeah, so you kind of then, if everything's built on debt with high interest rates, it's not a good thing, by the way. Jobs market could end up being nothing. And I think you've got two choices. There's two ways this market, there's two ways I believe the US is going to go, right? You either grow your economy versus cost. So what do I mean by that? If Trump can keep bringing in, hypothetically billions of dollars worth of investment into the country, he should outpace debt. Only if the Federal Reserve comes back. Why do you think he's like super macro crazy on trying to get interest rates down? Because ultimately that makes it life better. If he can't, and this is the potential risk, that you may get a default, you may get a rollover, you may get a recession, albeit I think most things are pointing now to, more soft landing than anything else, then you end up in a very painful scenario, I think is probably the way where we go. So yeah, worth noting. Let me see if I can bring this up a little bit more. You kind of, it's kind of hard to kind of see, really. It's kind of hard to see this data specifically coming in. The market will pump. They want retail out. Well, maybe. Yeah, maybe that could be a thing. Maybe that could be a thing. Hey, thanks for the follows, everybody. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget, tap the screen, lock in a couple of likes. We're only about 1,500 likes, so I would appreciate it. What's going on, Fairground? Welcome in. So that's the key catalyst for me. Interest rates down, economy booming. Now, a GDP of 3.8, by the way, is fucking pretty crazy, if you ask me. And if they can keep GDP moving, then, yeah, they'll outpace the debt risk. And, I mean, eventually someone's going to come and call. And remember, we talked about this, bank debt and all the rest of it. So I think at the minute, it's okay. I think it's okay. The other reason why I think that the fact that the Trump administration will not waver on the government shutdown is they simply can't afford to put $1.5 trillion back into the budget spend. I just don't think they can without cutting it from somewhere else, blah, 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 blah. So I think at the minute, it's okay. That's my view. But a lot of it, it could unravel relatively quickly, I think, in my opinion. Any thoughts on Tau outperforming 99% of the market? Looks pretty bullish. I'm not going to lie, Sean Goff. Yeah. Look pretty good, in fairness. Economy not booming with gold and silver at all-time highs. Well, gold's come down a little bit, hasn't it? I mean, gold has sort of retraced marginally down to 3.9. I mean, the top was in when people were queuing like lunatics to buy gold. But yeah, anyway, right. Let's know a couple of important charts that I think is worthwhile. Again, this is kind of a key thing to think about. US job openings, giving us a view here, by the way. We talked about this right at the very start, but kind of gives you an idea as to where they're going versus the S&P 500. Again, the orange line being the S&P 500. This could be tied to the whole AI sector. In fact, Jerome Powell did reference AI being a thing. As AI kind of expands, then you're going to get job lots. Now, that doesn't mean that's bad for markets, by the way, and I think that is worth noting. There's a really annoying thing on my microphone. Sorry that YouTube, you can probably hear this. Doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad news for markets. Think about it. Why do you think that Amazon just announced more profits, like all of that kind of stuff, because they're going to spend less. Hey, thanks for the heart me's. Appreciate it. Welcome into the fan club as well. Massively supports the channel here. So again, We appreciate the heart me's and the popular ups and all that kind of stuff. You're a legend. Appreciate it. Or just simply tap the screen. That'd be great if you could. So look out for job openings versus S&P 500. This is going to be a key thing. ADP data. It comes, I think this is every Tuesday. It's going to be every Tuesday. So we'll be talking about this. We'll sort of get into a bit of this. In fact, look at this calendar. There we go. November 5th. All right. November 5th, bonfire night. Set your alarm clock next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we'll get the ADP that'll tell us what's going on in terms of employment. This is going to be important to reference. Okay, think about that. While at the same time, again, the number of accumulation addresses on Bitcoin continued to rally. This is since the Friday liquidation and move out. So I think the Powell stuff today, macro, was fine, was okay. I think broadly expected. The debate now sort of turns to tomorrow with the whole Trump-China thing and kind of how that plays out. So I think that's probably worthwhile, what that does play out. I thought Powell spouted negativity. How is it bullish? So what you got was macro unease. I think it's probably fair to say. Think about it. He came out and said, we may not cut in December. He didn't say those exact words, but bear in mind, everyone was going, okay, definitely 25 basis points. We were pricing in 2 rate cuts for December. He ain't going to get 2 rate cuts now. He basically changed what everybody wasn't expecting and said, we may not even cut. So, for example, if the government is shut down and still shut down on the 10th of December, they may not cut rates, which, again, the markets simply haven't priced that in. The markets are priced in rate cut in September, rate cut in December, potentially double rate cut, which, again, that's why. And then you also got the fact that they could and would change policy. Markets didn't expect that. So that's why you got it. But the underlying part was, we are going to go and buy freaking treasuries. We're going to buy bonds. We're going to drive the price of bonds up while at the same time reducing the yield. Now, it's important to think about that. This may be confusing to some of these people. And I'm trying to belittle anyone. And FYI, by the way, I am not an economist. However, the more that these are bought, the price generally goes up, but the yield comes down. All right. It's important to think about that. So the more people that buy treasury yields, the more people that buy bonds, means they earn less, which means they are more likely to go into risk assets if inflation data comes down. So if the Fed cuts rates, they go and buy treasury bonds. That means they're basically paying themselves, which means people are more likely to then convert and move into risk on assets, such as Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market. So that's kind of why, by the way. That's kind of why. Now, what we did see, and you can see this kind of playing out a little bit more interestingly here. Look, 557 million. What this does tell us, and I know some people are getting like freaked out by it. I know some people are like, oh, like the market's going to zero, the bull market's over. And one of the things I keep seeing loads of is this repo data, which I'm going to look at. Jerome Powell referenced it as well. I'm not going to lie. I don't know too much about it, to be honest, but I'm going to research. That'll be for it tomorrow night's stream, so make sure you tuned in. But the fact that the markets still keep over leveraging on longs is wild. Think about it. We corrected 1.5%. I know it was bigger at some points, liquidated $500 million. You're like, sick people. Come on. Less margin, right? Less margin, more liquidity, yada, yada, yada. All right. We just broke over 100 people live on the stream, by the way. Smash up the like button. You also hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Also, we got like 58 people here on TikTok as well. So we've got like we're nearly at 200 people right now. So do me a favor, tap the screen, get locked in. We appreciate you. Opinion about Aptos. If the Trump news about tariffs is over. Now, yeah, Aptos. Honestly, I just think that they had a couple of rallies. Didn't really play out too much. Probably other layer ones, because Aptos is a layer one, isn't it? Might be worth looking at. Not saying it can't do some good stuff. And now there is a stablecoin boom going into Aptos, and you guys know what I think of stablecoins, but yeah, could be worth it. But I do think there are other ones. So the big deal, by the way, we saw more macro selling today, which I think pushed the markets down into it. Maybe that was a precursor of what we were going to get. Maybe, maybe not. I did actually research a little bit of this just to kind of give you a bit of a view as to this. Now, if you go on to crypto Twitter, as I'm sure many of us spend our time over there and see what's going on, by the way, it is worth noting what this actually means, and can this be a bullish thing? Okay, can this be a bullish thing? And so many people will tweet out, okay, Binance selling off, right? This company's selling off, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, the reality is that yes, that could be a thing. You know, market makers are dumping prices. You know, exchanges are liquidating longs, yada yada yada. Okay, that's fine, right? However, this also could be a sign that it's not always bearish. Why? And I don't know if we should ask the question, but why do you think it is? The reality is that these could be repositioning of liquidity for other exchanges. So for example, they're going to take it off Binance. They're going to move it into another exchange to support incoming demand, whether that's on Bitcoin, whether that's on Ethereum, whatever it is, right? You've also got movement in terms of operational wallets, etc. So you can see coins moving out. Now, the macro is that if it says Binance or Coinbase, they're trying to liquidate longs. Let's just call it as it is. But not always is it sometimes bearish. Worth noting, by the way. If you've got exchange moving to market maker, definitely that is generally seen as often bearish. Market maker to Binance sometimes can be bullish. They're pushing funds out there to be sold into the open market, which means people are trying to buy. Exchange to cold storage, very bullish, long-term holdings. And then internal transfers, pretty neutral. So what you want to see is transfers from, let's just bring the price of BTC back up. Markets are kind of turning green. Not super crazy green, though. If you see transfers from, let's say, Wintermute going into Binance, ultimately that could be setting up for what they believe is demand for assets. So let's take a look at the last couple of hours, just as an example. Let's do it 100,000. That probably makes more sense. In fact, let's do 1 million just because it's easier, because I can see there's some pretty big movement. Okay. So here you go. Here's the Wintermute. So for many of you that I don't know if maybe you're brand new to the channel, maybe it's the first time ever kind of maybe being part of a live stream that ain't just like, oh, we're all going to the fucking moon, then welcome in, all right? There's a little bit more education that sits behind this channel, a little bit more upper echelon learning, as it were. Now, again, by the way, not financial advisor. I never have been. You know, might do something in the future, perhaps. Maybe we do that in the next bear market. We go through and we can do a financial analysis course, and like 3 of us could become financial advisors in the bear market. Imagine that. Anyway, that's not the point I want to make. Generally speaking, now, if we assume on some of these that you see Wintermute moving to another address, you would then say that this is going to be potentially more bullish, all right? So these are positioning capital, or they're positioning assets for people to buy. So for example, you can see here that Wintermute moved Ethereum 9 minutes ago to Kraken about $9.49 million. Tony, you'll love a bit of math with 2-bit. This could therefore mean that... Alvin, what's going on, man? Alvin, when have you got a live stream from the shop? Is it Saturday you're doing it? Can't remember. Mini be high next few days. Keep your eyes looking. Fairground knows what's up. So again, this could be the fact that you've got a demand, or that they believe there could be demand for Ethereum on Kraken. Now, what could this signal as an example? Could this signal institutional buying? Could this signal maybe we're going to see some more treasury companies buying? There's been hints by Sharplink Gaming, hints by Ethermine. A couple of them sold out. We know that a couple have repositioned it. Alliance, thank you for the heartme's. Man, you guys are crushing the heartme's tonight, by the way. Loving life, by the way. I think Status sold a little bit off today, but Bitmine did buy some more. So this could be positioning something. We know Kraken is generally an institutional-based exchange. So worth noting, by the way. Definitely worth noting. When we're seeing these kind of Wintermute moving it to hot wallets, this is generally seen as a bullish momentum thing. Okay, so think about it. Worthwhile noting, by the way, when it comes to that. So although we did see it, what's interesting to reference here, by the way, ETF volume feels very quiet out here on the ETF fronts, but good news. We saw, again, some pretty solid buying with just Bitwise and ProShares not buying it. So Saturday, nice. Let people know in the chat, Alvin, what time. So again, we institutional buying. So this is kind of the thing. And I guess this is where I get to a little bit in this market right now, right? Is retail seems to be getting shaken out at every possible moment, whereas institutionals continue to buy. Now, institutions can hold longer. Retail's still in a world of FOMO. They're like, oh, I need to kind of get in the markets, get all my crypto and get the hell out of here. Like, that's kind of where we get to. But overall macro sentiment, well, do you know what? Probably feels okay. With QE coming in, fine. The key bit for me was holding this downtrend. This confirms this breakout still valid. Which then means that my 123 price target is still valid right now. So this price target still remains, and I'm probably still in that world where I think this is break below the green line. Then I think this invalidates this move and potentially then sees us coming down a little bit further. Probably get into a world of retesting the 200 EMA on the daily around 108. But at the minute, we're not there. So good news. Good news. Will the market go up again? I mean, I hope so. I hope so. XCL is exploding. Next big privacy coin. Don't miss out. Is it moving? Hope so. Powell said buying assets soon, so that's the only positive I've heard. Yeah, December. So quantitative tightening ends in December. They will then repurpose capital that is overage to go and buy bonds, treasury yields, etc., which should be bullish for markets, by the way. Yeah, smash on the like button, by the way. Only 50 likes, like I said, over 100 in the stream. So do me a favor and tap that like button. Appreciate it. Likewise here on TikTok, by the way. Don't forget, grab a couple of likes. Makes you feel better. I said this yesterday. Just makes you feel better. Good. All right. So that gives us a bit of a view as to where everything is on the market. I'm not going to go too much into that. Look out for my full market update tomorrow, again, about 11:30. So it's going to come out UK time, by the way. So don't miss it. Good. Altcoin market, by the way. Aerodrome had a good run today. I don't know if you saw that, but altcoin market's holding up pretty well. Sui's in there about 2.7%. Jasmine, for all the Jasmine fam, holding up pretty well, around 4.5%. But the story of the day, will it be financial? Up a little bit. But look at the meme market. Look at the Trump coin. Like, why is this doing this? Anyone know? Trump's going wild. We said about Pump the other day, that might be a mover and groover. Looks like that is playing out pretty much as we talked about. Pepe up 2.5, bonk. And generally, precursors to big market moves, meme coins tend to move first. Not macro, but a little bit. You know, if you've got a market where today you saw, you know, pretty big sell-off in Bitcoin, meme coins are like, nah, we don't give a shit, like we're still going to go. What does that tell you? There's a little bit of an insatiable appetite to get into potential risk on assets such as meme coins, as we can see it potentially with these other bits as well. So yeah. Okay, can someone just ban the guy that's coming in like he's some sort of Mother Teresa Jesus character? One time, he's still in the chat, by the way. If you are, can we just ban that guy? Get rid of him. Brandon Harris, what's going on? Brandon, you are more than welcome, bro. You're the first person that one time crushed it. Oh, Casey, a massive legend. Thank you, man. Brandon, you're the first person that always comments on my X post, so thank you, man. You are very much welcome to come in whenever you want. Good. CJ, what's going on, buddy? Welcome in. Foz is in the building. What's going on? Axe says, am I okay? Yeah, I think so. Bro. Hope you're doing well. Welcome in as always. Appreciate you guys. Right. Okay. Let's keep an eye on what's happening with BTC. We haven't really got anything else that's super crazy right now. So if you guys have got like any, you guys have got any coins you want us to take a look at, and by all means, we can take a look at that. Bobby says, can I join in? Hey, feel free, Bobby. Come in. Let us know what's going on. Let us know what you had for dinner. That's the important thing, by the way, and what your favorite song is. And then you're pretty much in. We appreciate you. Connor's in the building. What's going on, Connor? Man, lots of people jumping in on TikTok right now. Welcome in. Okay, a couple of big bits of news, which I think is worthwhile. Zebek. Yeah, Zebek will be pumping today because the Bitcoin... Oh, no, Zebek's down because the market's moving. See? No, Zebek. I'm only kidding. I sold all my Zebek in fairness, but yeah. So let's talk about a couple of bits of news. Yeah, it's fine. MasterCard now are acquiring crypto startup Zero Hash for nearly $2 billion. I don't know what Zero Hash is, by the way. Probably should have known what it is. But anyway, they are buying Zero Hash for $2 billion. Pretty interesting. MasterCard once again trying to wiggle their way into the cryptocurrency market. So yeah, pretty bullish if you ask me. PS, just hold. Most likely you're not a good trader with leverage. Exactly. Don't trade leverage if you can't. That's my opinion. That's my opinion, right? Not worth it. Leverage is high risk, potentially high reward, but only if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you are going to get wrecked. So be mindful of trading high leverage. Definitely not worth it, in my opinion, unless you know exactly what you're doing. So... but yeah, the MasterCard news, pretty interesting as well, which I think is good news. And also, I don't know if you've seen this, by the way. We haven't talked about this, but good news. Avalanche. Finally, we've got some good news for Avalanche. They've got a new credit card launching, and they're expanding into the Asia market with none other than tokenized assets. Yes, they're launching a multi-purpose platform on Avalanche from TIS Incorporated, Japanese largest payments processor. Good news. All right, let's hope so. Let's fingers crossed we get bullish. Let's hope that we actually get some positive news out there in the markets. And more importantly, let's hope Avalanche goes to the fucking moon. All right. Fingers crossed we kind of get that. So yeah, whether we will or not is a different matter. Good. What do I think about the Powell speech? I thought it was okay with an underlying positive narrative, albeit on a macro surface level. He ended up being quite hawkish to start with, but he kind of got all the hawkishness out of the way and then was kind of a bit more chill. So yeah, I mean, the two big things to take away was obviously the end of quantitative tightening is good news. Interest rate cuts is fine. Job market is all right. So yeah. Did you see the other news about the December 1st? Yeah, did you see the Solana news on that ETF? Holy shit, the Solana ETF did like 70 million on its first pissing day. It's not messing around, is it? That is not messing around, if you ask me. So pretty bullish. Yeah, XLR is moving actually. What's it back up to now? 5 milli. So yeah, it's kind of, it's kind of doing something, albeit it's down, 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 down. Yeah. I don't know what the Forks formula is doing right now, but we'll take a look at that in a minute. Sol ETF, yeah, 67 million in its first day, which should give you loads of confidence that actually, when the ETFs for XRP launch, this is going to be good news. Now, there was obviously a big narrative story that we need to talk about, which is that everybody said, "Oh, 2-bit ETF for XRP are going to launch today," and I said, "No, no, they're not." Look who was right. It was me. Now, again, I'm not hating on anyone because sometimes these things happen, but these are where you got to be careful about who you listen to, what you watch, and all that kind of other stuff. So we are expecting some, but not yet. Not yet. The meeting with China tomorrow will be big. Either up or down for the market is going to be extreme. Well, look, the reality is that if you get anything that's kind of positive, then it's going to be fine. It'll be relatively good news for the markets. Trump's hinted at a pretty good announcement. Whether that's going to be true or not, we will see. But yeah, dead quick, by the way. Solana ETF, 67 million. Bullish. Litecoin ETF did $1 million yesterday, all right? So, get excited if you're a Litecoin holder. Enjoy that $1 million. But yeah, they actually bought a shit ton of Solana on that ETF. So that could end up being pretty good news. By the way, Sol 195 up 0.8 today and actually held up pretty well. But this is where you're going to have to look for these forms. So 8A filings, which is basically the listing of those particular ETFs, are what you're going to have to see. If you don't see it on here, then you're not going to get it. All right. So this is important. So we got a couple of them down here. You can see like there's the Solana war. There's a few other ones. Where was it yesterday? 27th. You got, so Canary H-bar ETF here. Look, Canary Litecoin ETF. So you need one of these. You have to get an 8A form. It's the signal of a listing of these ETFs. As it stands right now, there is no XRP one. All right, important to reference. That doesn't mean there isn't going to get one, but it is. There's the Solana grayscale conversion that's coming in. You see that listed today. There isn't any others, right? There is not any others as we stand. But if you're interested in this, by the way, go and check the XRP video I put out today. Worth watching. The link's in the description to this page, which is going to give you a view as to where it is. But 8A filings, these are what we need to see. These are going to then tell us those particular listings. For example, you can see here that it goes through all of the particular documents that sit with these particular ETFs. All right. So worth noting, by the way, if you were curious. But as it stands right now, no XRP ETF as it stands. Yet. It's definitely a yet. This will be where we get it first. Just saying. All right. So keep your eyes peeled on it. I was going to show you the grayscale one, but anyway, it is what it is. Google had a solid beat. Meta missed. Yeah, Meta missed by like 10 billion, didn't it? It's crazy. Google was good. Alphabet did 100 million plus, so yeah, good news. Microsoft beat, albeit dumped on news of it beating, which is kind of a little bit crazy in fairness, but yeah. Trump versus Xi dance off. I mean, have you seen Polymarket? They're basically betting on how long he shakes his hand. Degens, the top's in. Sell your cryptocurrency. Jesus Christ, we're betting on how long Trump and Xi are going to shake hands. Maybe they cuddle each other. That'd be wild, wouldn't it? Although we got into this last night, ended up being mental with some of the stuff that was coming up. So, yeah. Worth noting, by the way. Worth noting. What do you think? What do you think more rate cuts is coming in December? Well, if we get data, government reopening, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, potentially. I think it's more likely than not because I think the jobs market that I can see and work through, I don't think it's going to boom in the next like 2 months, is it? Now, you might get a little bit more positivity as you move into a festive season. I don't know particularly, but yeah. I don't see a use case in an ETF for XRP based on what it's actually used for with Ripple. As of now, its only use case is a fund for Ripple's endeavors. I mean, if you take that logic, Tyler, I guess you could argue that that's the same for pretty much everything with the exception of Ethereum. Probably Ethereum, actually. Think about it. What does Ethereum do? Ethereum basically allows you to do the EVM. What does Solana do? Well, Solana just up. Yeah. I mean, what is the purpose of an XRP? What's the purpose of an ETF anyway? You're speculating on price through an institutional investment platform, really. I think the big thing with XRP will be the post ETF. It's not necessarily even about ETFs, really. If you are bullish on XRP, it's about the fact they're going to lock more up, which I've sort of talked about before. And I think this whole escrow ETF thing could see like significant amounts of XRP removed from circulation, which could be good news. So, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. But yeah, I mean, maybe we get a rate cut. I mean, I would expect one. I maybe would expect one. What was that hand? What was what hand? Did I do a hand? Did I do a hand? Don't know. Maybe I did. What other earnings did we get today, by the way? I can't remember what else we got. Tomorrow, we haven't got a lot tomorrow, have we? Let's take a quick look at the old catalogue. See what's coming tomorrow. Thursday, you have got jobless claims. Okay, fine. We might get something interesting. Good news if it went down. So look at this consensus: 223, previous 218. So we'll see. We'll see. Fed balance sheet could be interesting, albeit I don't think so. PCE maybe 2.1. I'm sure a hand just appeared behind you. Or maybe it did. Maybe it did. Maybe it was a ghost. It's Halloween. What's going on, 37? Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're well. Hope you are well. But yeah, like I said, if you haven't already tapped the screen and locked in a couple of likes, do so. Also, if you haven't already hit the subscribe button on YouTube, would massively appreciate it as well. We are back to under 1% right now on BTC. So yeah, pump it, baby. Let's do it. Greening up over the last 2 hours. Again, holding this line. So look at this. Look at this. Look how crazy that wick is on that. Pretty good news. All right, we might just have some breaking news coming in from none other than Donald Trump. Let's go and see what this guy's all about. Although I don't think it's going to be anything like super crazy, by the way, so don't get like overly excited about it. Tomato Pete, I know how you love the breaking news stories. What have we got? Breaking, President Trump says, very much looking forward to the meeting with President Xi of China. It will take place in a few hours. Oh, what? In a few hours? I thought it was Thursday. I thought it was meeting him tomorrow. Oh, maybe the markets are going to start rallying on that. Go long! Yeah, interesting. Look at that. In a few hours. I thought it was tomorrow. Anyway. Does quantitative tightening any means QE? Well, what you got a signal of is quantitative tightening normally just means end of quantitative tightening. Then you generally get this kind of like wait and see what happens moment, and then you get quantitative easing. We've sort of gone QT, skipped the way and gone to QE, which is why people have gone, hold on a minute, what do the Fed know that we don't? How bad is the labor market? Is the economy going to roll over? Are we all going to be in recession by next week? That's what the markets didn't like. And I think now the markets are kind of going, well, fine. Jobs are going out where AI is generally booming. Think about it. You know, you could AI pack in an Amazon parcel, for example. So you're going to get broader innovation in there, which then says, okay, well, that's just the jobs market. Remember, job losses are generally done, especially like Amazon and all these big companies. That's nothing to do with inflation pressures. That's nothing to do with the economy. That is to do with profit. Why do you cull workforce and replace with AI? Generate more profit. That's my view. I was just going to see if there was a. Are you going to try and dissect bullish info out of the hawkish speech? Do you think it was hawkish? Why do you think it was hawkish? Let me know. I think there was a ton of hawkishness to start with. Definitely, if you think about jobs market, 100%. But I'm gonna throw it back at you, and you tell me why that speech was hawkish as opposed to neutral. I wouldn't say it was dovish, by the way. I'd say it was neutral. That would be my view, which I think brings the Fed back from an element of hawkishness. So again, I'm not sat here saying, oh, Trump was super crazy on the markets, but I would argue I think it was relatively neutral. Relatively neutral. That's my view. Yeah, so just, by the way, think about this. Amazon are investing billions of dollars in AI. This was a quote specifically from Beth Galetti, Amazon Senior Vice President, says this generation of AI is the most transformative technology we've seen since the internet, and it's enabling companies to innovate much faster than ever before. That's why they're doing it, all right? That's why they're doing it. Are you honestly saying it wasn't hawkish? I'm saying it was neutral. I'm saying that there was elements that were hawkish. Again, jobs market, potential rollover of the jobs market, albeit they don't see it. Again, data isn't readily available. Ended of quantitative tightening. You can't say that's hawkish. We're going to end QT. That's not hawkish. But I'm not saying it was dovish. I'm saying it was neutral. So that's my position. I think it was neutral. I want your view as to why it was hawkish. And you can't say jobs, so I've just said that. GC in the building. What's going on, my man? Wouldn't say Powell was dovish. They probably upped his I mean, maybe. GC coming in fresh right now. What's going on, bro? Welcome in, man. Good to see you, buddy. Mr. Non-Fungible in the house. Mr. Non-Fungible, don't forget, we're live on our second live a little bit later if you're around in like, I don't know, like an hour or something. So if you're about, feel free to jump in and say hello. It'd be cool. But yeah, this kind of then plays the jobs market, by the way. Investment of AI, could drive that. I also talked about the S&P 500, which, again, you could argue stocks are rallying, but they're only rallying on the Magnificent Seven. They're not really rallying on the wider S&P 500. The wider S&P 500 is actually, some are selling off pretty aggressively, if I'm honest. Not like crazy, but some are definitely selling off a little bit. Is it this one I want to see? What am I trying to see? I'm trying to find something. But I can't remember where it is. It's just kind of annoying. This is not it. Maybe not. Can't remember. Can't find it. I was going to have a look at the broader market structure when it comes to the S&P, but anyway, you get my point. Go and have a look. Go and have a look at some of these bigger, Nvidia. Whoa, what is that? It just looked like a chopper shaking my head. Can't find the 8A list. There you go. If you want that, go and find my XRP video, and then it's in there. So dead easy. Go to youtube.com/2bitcrypto, the only channel that anyone ever needs to be involved in. It's going to bring you over here to my channel and go to this video here. Look, this video here is worth the one to go to. Click on it. You can hear me talking. And then if you go into here, you can see here, look at the top, the 8A listing. That's just click on that and it's going to take you straight to it if you need it. That's my view, by the way. All right. Also, while you're here, by the way, click subscribe. If you want to grab a channel membership, by the way, which gets you access to our premium Discord, click the join button. Again, we've got trade alerts, alpha calls, new coins, all the rest of it. Click on that join button, get involved. I think it's worth your time. All right, good. Good. Yeah, good to see you fitting. Welcome in. The Cybermen are coming from Amazon. Yeah, can you imagine? I've got my Cybermen. Look, here's my Cybermen headphones. Look. Although I look like one of those people that sits on buses and licks windows. Robert Dover, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I actually put some work into that. I saw a couple of videos and people were like, it's happening. XRP ETFs are coming today. Interestingly, if I'd done a video going, XRP ETFs are launching today, then people would have been like, oh, I need to watch it. It's going to get super, super crazy. But yeah, I didn't, so it's fine. It's fine. Did Trump tweet anything about Powell? No, not yet. No, nothing at all coming out from him other than, like I said, he's going to meet Xi Jinping in a couple of hours, which doesn't make sense. I was sure it's tomorrow. But yeah, that's what we got out there. That's what we got so far. Nothing crazy. So yeah, we'll sit tight. We will sit tight. Oh, I missed it, GC. Sorry, man. Sorry, I appreciate the mustache and hat. Thank you so much. Good. All right, what time are we on? 9:45. Holy shit, this stream's gone way quicker than normal. Man, I've been live an hour. I did not realize that. The only tweet we've got, Trump South Korea agrees to buy US oil and gas in vast quantities. That's pretty interesting. $350 billion for loans. So this was the point I was making at the start of the stream, by the way. If they can continue to drive the US economy to a degree, then, they're probably going to be all right. They will probably somehow manage to get them, get out of the hole that they're in. Debatable, though. To be covering the US-China Summit live. If it is live tonight, then maybe. Depends what live. If they go live and I'm still up, then maybe. I've got a long drive tomorrow. By the way, I'm still going to be live. Still going to be doing live streams. They're just going to be in a slightly different place, and it won't be on my computer. So we might end up having to do some sort of weird double stream where we stream YouTube and TikTok from two different phones. It's going to be a bit mental, but yeah, if it's live tonight, then yeah, maybe we can get on and do it. So again, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how that plays out. Thoughts on DIA? I don't know what that is. Exactly, Robert. Yeah, exactly. Magic Craig, what's going on, buddy? Welcome in. I'm listening. Been driving. No dramas, mate. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're keeping well, which is good news. So yeah, market's selling off a little bit. I don't know why. Maybe everyone's like, oh no, the Trump thing's happening tonight. I didn't think it was. What the hell? What the hell? Why did crypto go down after the Fed cut rates? It was what Jerome Powell said within the Fed rates. Again, I'm not going to go back over it again, but I'll have a full video breaking it down. But basically, jobs, not cool. Nervousness in the market, and they might not cut rates in December, which the markets definitely didn't price. That's probably the biggest thing, isn't it? That the markets did not price in a potential non-cut in December. Like just didn't price that in at all. So, yeah. Overall bullish, I'd say, as I was saying to Jamila, I'd say neutral is probably where I'm at. Neutral, which again, you could argue maybe the markets priced in bullishness and we didn't get bullishness. But I'd say overall, my view is neutral. We'll see what that kind of then plays out over the course of the next few days. They're going to buy treasury, yeah, from December, which is good news, by the way. That is good news. But yeah, we'll see. Here's another story, by the way. Someone tried to scam me last night. It's a pretty interesting one. That's why you all should be sensible and careful in this space, all right? This was like, I've heard loads of content creators getting scammed like this, but someone messaged me who was a verified account. I'm not going to say the name of them, but the verified account, they were like, hey, we want you to come and like talk about this project, like get a look for it, give us your view. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, let me know what it is. They were like, oh, let's jump on a call. Now I have, Vern will know this. I have like a call group on Telegram. So where I can like discuss things with people because it makes it's safer, right? Something that I've done. It's my group chat. If they want to come and talk to me about things, fine. Jump into my Telegram. Let's talk about it. But they were like, no. The CEO doesn't want to do that. He wants you to come and, come on this stream. And it's like some weird platform I'd never heard of. So I tried to join it on my phone and it was like, oh, no. You got to be on a desktop. You can't join this on your phone. Like get on a friggin' desktop. So I went to like on my work laptop, probably shouldn't have done in fairness, but anyway, I went on my work laptop, clicked it and it like came up like, this is not safe. It's trying to get this and that, the other. And I was like, holy shit, it's one of those proper scammer things. Like send them a message going, this is like what's come up. Like, this is it. You either join my Telegram or we're done here. Like send me some other like fucking shady thing saying, oh, join this one. I'm like, bro, I'm out. So yeah, be mindful, by the way, be mindful. Everyone's out there trying to steal your cryptocurrency. So be careful. Ethereum going back to 2.6K again. Mark my words. Can't. Shut up. I mean, no, hold on a minute. That's not fair. I take that back. What's your timescales? Because technically, Ethereum might go back to 2.6K. Do I see Ethereum at 2.6K this week? No. Do I see it next week? No. Do I see it by the end of the year? Probably not. So let me know what your timescale is. Hey guys, I need more connections. Great news. We go up a lot higher. Hopefully X6. Hopefully we go, but now I'd like to see us back above 112. 112, 265. We're all good. Swanky, yes, I have a Discord. It's not an insider group, but it's a Discord channel. It's totally free if you want to join it. Links in my bio. Also, it's on YouTube as well. Now, there is a premium group in there that has alpha calls, trade setups, chart analysis, VCs, trading, literature, all that kind of stuff. So you simply get it by grabbing a channel membership over on YouTube or subscribing here on TikTok. All right. It's about $8 a month, something like that. But yeah, if you want to get in that, then you can. We've currently got, what is in the alpha call groups? Was one. I might have another one. For that as well. This guy on TikTok got 3 mil worth of XRP drained. Yeah, I saw that. I mean, look, here's the crazy thing. If you've got $3 million worth of XRP, like, what the fuck are you clicking on? Like, Jesus Christ. I wouldn't trust anyone. Why would you trust anyone? A meme's worth buying. I mean, it depends. Good memes, yes. Bad memes, no. And then equally, it depends what you're trading it. So, brand new to the market memes, be careful. Be careful. Swanky, there you are, buddy. I just seen you join. Welcome into the Discord, my man. Good to have you. I'm going to there you go. Look, you're already in. Bosh. Done. Bosh. You can be unverified as well. We manually vet everybody that comes in it because some of the choppers, like this guy here, that is literally called himself Mike. Nope. Get out of this channel. We see them and they come in and they come in under a normal name and then they change it to like 2-bit. Well, what they don't realize is I can see who they are. I'm going to be mining next summer at my gold mine if anyone's interested. There you go. If anyone wants a holiday with Alvin, get ready. So yeah, all depends. How do you know which memes are good? Well, it depends. It depends. If you're investing early, You don't really. Let's just call it as it is. But if you're investing late, then what do they do? For example, is Pepe a good meme? Well, it's got a big community. It's a relatively low price based on potential. Does that make it good? Bonk, is that good? Well, it's got revenue, pump fun. I know people will say to me, well, it's not. Melania coins, probably a sack of shit. I mean, I won't get into that, but yeah, just my view, by the way. Just my view. The best thing in meme coins is get into a community, get into some early call groups, get into some Telegram channels, be obsessed about crypto Twitter. Like, that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. If you got 3 mil of XRP, why haven't you sold 100%? Why haven't you sold like at least like half of it? I mean, Jesus Christ, how much money do you need? I definitely can make 3 million. You know, I'd be fine with 3 million. 100% I'd be fine. But yeah, that's my view. Again, my high, we sometimes put, we actually have got a meme call channel in our Discord. Which you can join. Again, none of it's ever financial advice. You have to do your own research before you do it. But yeah, we're at like 280 people or something, I think, in there now. So again, get involved. Like I said, if you want to get access though to that premium Discord, you do have to grab a channel membership. All right, it's the cheapest Discord out there. It's like $8 a month. What do you think about Cardano? Love it. I mean, I've been talking about Cardano for ages, albeit it's at 1.3%. A little bit bearish right now, but we'll see. We'll see. Charles Hoskinson came out and was pretty vocal on a couple of people, which is kind of interesting. Can't remember who was slating that, but yeah. Can Tau be a really good long-term hold, considering halves every 2 years? I mean, potentially, yeah. I mean, it's been doing pretty well, hasn't it? We were looking at Tau at like 280, I think. What's it now? Like nearly 400, if not past 400. So yeah, I think it's got a lot of good stuff. I'm not super deep into that ecosystem, but I know lots of people talk about it, and I definitely remember looking at it sub 300. Definitely remember looking at sub 300. So yeah, just my opinion. Just my opinion. Please analyze. You're missing an E. BTC. What do you want me to analyze on BTC right now? I've done it most of the show. Right now, market structure is holding pretty well. Here on the 4-hour chart, bouncing off the downward sloping trend line, which means the W pattern breakout is still confirmed. However, bearish momentum from the 50 and the 20-day EMA is pushing us down, and the overall MACD RSI is also bearish. ODV volume is down, which basically means that less people are trading the asset than we've seen before. So, short term, little bit bearish. Long term, totally fine. Totally fine. In fairness, actually, long term here on the weekly, you can see we pushed back above the 20-day EMA, which is kind of good news. Well above the 50-day EMA. I mean, the 200 EMA isn't even getting anywhere to be seen. So, macro, still totally fine. We probably need to just... Oh, I did not mean to do that one. We need to extend this one, actually, a little bit. So, you can kind of see, like... You can kind of see where we are on this, in my opinion. So, yeah, my view. Are we entering the bear market already? I mean, some people are going to tell you yes. Think about it. Think about it. What has preceded every single bear market in history? Bear markets never start on fear. Now, that doesn't mean that these ones can't. And I know this is a proper cop-out answer, but that's the stark reality of it. Bear markets end on like overhyped overhyped excitement in markets. People buying fucking monkey coins for like $3 million, all that kind of monkey NFTs for like $3 million. Doesn't really happen on a massive liquidation event. Everyone goes, oh, screw it, bear market's here. Screw it. So yeah, BTC dumped to 98K. Well, I mean, loads of people talk about that. Oh, let's go and fill the $98,000 CME gap in. All right, cool. Well, maybe we get there. I don't know. Will it dump there? Probably. Is it going to be anytime soon? Don't think so. Don't think so. Think about it. We had the biggest liquidation event in the history of the market and we wicked to 103. Why would now 98,000 be the thing? Maybe we get there, which some people say, well, told you we're going to get to 98K. It might take us a fucking month to get there. So, yeah, potentially. Do you still think the bull market will come this year? I mean, look, if you haven't, we broke all-time highs about 5 times. We've been in a bull market. I still believe we are in a bull market. If you look at all the macro things, that tells me we're pretty much still in a bull market. You know, lots of macro data, lots of chart data. The problem we've got is it all feels a little bit built on a house of cards, which is generally just the US economy right now. You know, one false move, one bad tariff, you know, one bank collapse and we're screwed. That's sort of where we are right now. Equally, this all might just pass and we all might just end up going to absolutely fucking stupid new all-time highs, maybe. Dave's in the building, says, hi all, sorry for late. Joining, watching back from the start. What's going on, Dave? Good to see you, buddy. Don't forget, by the way, if you've enjoyed this content on TikTok, likewise on YouTube, I am back on TikTok in like 34 minutes with none other than CryptoVern getting his view, reaction to the market, etc. All that kind of good stuff. So if you want to get involved, make sure hit the follow button. That way you are going to get notified whenever we put the live stream up. Likewise, on YouTube, make sure that you click the subscribe button, turn that notification bell to all. Interestingly, by the way, that you get notified of 3 live streams and 3 videos a day. So if you've got like every notification turned on for every single channel ever, sometimes you might miss my live stream. So highly recommend making sure that I'm at the top of your list. All right. No retail interest. Yeah, a little bit at the minute. We've got to kind of wait and see. Now, you say there's no retail interest. At the minute, though, retail's in the stock market. That's the problem. Retail's buying gold like crazy people. They were queuing up outside fucking shops, and they're also buying the stocks. That's why the S&P's rallying like crazy. That doesn't mean that they won't rotate into the crypto market, though, and I think that's worth noting. But yeah, if you look at retail investors right now, they are buying. They're buying stocks, and in fact buying like the Magnificent Seven stocks, Apple, Amazon, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, individual retail investors now make up 16% of all single stock trading volume, twice what it was a year ago. So they're just not in the crypto market. That's the reality of it. Retail is here. They are speculating. They are buying. They are just not in the crypto market. That's the problem that I think people don't want. And that's the problem that I think people are a bit like, oh, well, we want to see them in the markets, and they're just not. Well, it's fine. It is what it is. It is what it is. Al says, we don't want retail. Leave them until the end at the top of the parabolic stage. Not now. Understand the markets of the game, bros. What's going on, buddy? I thought as much. Yeah. Yeah. So that's why you're seeing like crazy overvalue. Don't forget, the S&P 500 is like, it's breaking new all-time highs. It could hit $7,000 dollars. Like, it's wild. The S&P, look at this market move on the S&P 500. Like, that is absolutely like just lunacy in a year. I mean, think about that. 1st of January 2024 to where we sit right now, it's up 50%. 50%. Like, are you winding me up? What is the total market cap of the S&P 500, by the way? I can't remember. Griff, welcome in, by the way. Griff, are you a channel member? You are, aren't you? So you get access to our premium Discord now. I thought you had it, Griff. You've not got it. There you go. Griff, is that you, by the way? That's just joined. I'm assuming it is. In fact, I'm going to wait till you confirm it's you. Then I'll give you it. Then I'll let you know you can get in there. The S&P 500 valuation. How much is it worth? Anyone know? Anyone? So the market cap of is like probably like $420 trillion. Like, what the what? Pi Network, nice project. I mean, look, if you can get it for free, crack on. I mean, there's no way I'd be investing in it, to be honest. And I think I've been pretty clear on my stance on that for a while now. You know, I'm not in that place where I would even be investing in Pi. Just my view, by the way. Just my view. They're all going to get wrecked and have no money to rotate. Oh, you mean retail in the stock market? Yeah, maybe. Feels a bit out there, but you never know. You never know, should we say. Right, where's BTC at now? 111,670. Look at the altcoin market, by the way. It's super wild. Super wild. The altcoins are moving. Ethereum is down. Crow's down a little bit. Asta down 1.8%. Jupe down 1.5%. Zcash, man, I was going to go long on Zcash again. Ah, Jesus Christ. Buy the hype. Don't buy the FOMO. Pi Network's got a big community. Yeah, 100%. It's got a great community. Like, I'm not saying it hasn't, by the way. It's got a massive community. The problem you've got is communities mean nothing if the price is shit. What's it at now? Last time we looked at it, was like 20 odd cents. Pi. Is it just Pi? What's it at now? 26 cents. Okay, so it's up a little bit. I'll give you that. It's up a little bit, but it's quite, you know, from and I don't know how much more is like going to get unlocked, but yeah, it's you know, kind of down in there. Let's just call it as. Let's call it as it is. Right, everybody. That is bang on the money at 10 o'clock. Sign up the Discord channel right now. What a coincidence. Well, I've just seen someone called Griff join the Discord. Is that you or not, Griff? If it's you, then I'll give you access because you're a channel member. I'll give you access to the premium Discord. If it's not you, then you can literally go and screw yourself and I'm not giving you it. But if it is you, I'll give you it. If it's not, did you just join the 2-bit bunker? The best place to be, by the way, in my opinion. Super bullish in there. Finance their ISO 222, hence the pump. Fair enough. Fair enough. Don't miss the Pi network. I will take your word from it. I know a lot of people. Are in it, but quite a few in the community have been in it for a while actually. So yeah, maybe it's bullish. I don't know. It's not for me though. Not for me. I'm kind of locked into where I want to be in certain coins, and that's kind of where I'm going to sit. I'm not going to do anything super crazy right now. Equally, the only thing I want to do is probably rotate potential capital into other assets, depending on how they move and what they do. But outside of that, I'm sitting tight. I'm sitting tight right now. Or me 2-bit. Well, that's true, Fairground. That's true. So let's summarize the stream. 64% of you believe that Jerome Powell's statement was bullish, which is good news. Guy Johnson in the building says, hey, 2-bit, loving the content. As always, shout from the UK. Guy, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Good. Look, I'm glad you guys are enjoying the content. That's bullish. It means it's worth doing. And by the way, the channel is growing quite nicely again now. So if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, highly recommend it. Don't forget to join that Discord. I'm going to be back live on TikTok in about 30 minutes. If you're interested, I'm going to be with Crypto Verm. We'll talk about markets. We'll get a bit of a view. We may have some more guests as well. If any of you guys want to come and join us, feel free to come and see us. So with that being said, don't forget, I'm going to be back tomorrow. It won't be in this setup though. I'm going to be somewhere else. We're actually going to see some family. But I will be live. Again, who knows what the fucking setup's going to look like? I've no idea, but we'll sort something out tomorrow. So look out for some more content. Look out for the update video going live about 11:30 in the morning. Again, as always, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure you tap the screen here on TikTok. And with that being said, enjoy the rest of your days, and I'll catch you guys all tomorrow. Take care.